In October of 2025, it will have been 25 years since Gilmore Girls premiered, and in many ways, we're watching the series as if not a day has passed. For many contemporary fans, their first time watching Gilmore Girls wasn't when the series originally aired on the WB, later the CW, but years later when the show became a standby of streaming television. Starring Lauren Graham and Alexis Bledel as Lorelai and Rory, the series follows pivotal years of the women's lives as they grow up together in their quirky town of Stars Hollow, handling problems eccentric and otherwise. Created by and primarily written by Amy Sherman Palladino, the style in which she wrote Gilmore Girls has come to define much of her later work. Sherman Palladino also created The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, a series that draws many parallels to Gilmore Girls, as it's difficult to watch the Prime Video series without feeling as though Gilmore Girls would have looked even more similar had it had a bigger budget. However, the small-town feel and realism of Gilmore Girls is what makes it so vividly relatable today, and its continued success proves the longevity of Sherman Palladino's work. Some of the biggest criticisms of Gilmore Girls are its greatest strengths. The ups and downs of characters, and their most unlikable moments, build character development. Like so many TV shows that have been off the air long enough for fans to rewatch them in their entirety many times over, there are plenty of compiled lists and in-depth analysis of the best and worst of the series. The later seasons, particularly Rory's narrative arc, have especially garnered a lot of criticism with time, but Sherman Palladino wrote her correctly. It might not always be easy to watch Rory and Lorelai self-destruct and make the wrong choices, but it makes for incredible television. For all their routines and habits, the Gilmores keep us guessing. Even the characters who are the most unlikable on the surface, like Emily and Richard Gilmore, brilliantly brought to life by Kelly Bishop and Edward Herrmann, are given depth and complexity throughout the seasons. While the secondary characters who populate Stars Hollow are relegated more to bit parts, they're equally loved because Sherman Palladino consistently took the time to give them lives of their own. It's true that Lorelai and Rory go through life thinking the world revolves around them to a certain extent, but Gilmore Girls wouldn't work without the lived-in world and nuanced characters. Of course, it's impossible to discuss Gilmore Girls without touching upon the notorious boyfriend debate and getting into the nitty-gritty of who should have ended up with Lorelai and Rory. Everyone has their favorites, and most of these opinions change with age, but romance isn't the heart of Gilmore Girls, even if it is one of the most fun aspects of the show. Love comes and goes in Gilmore Girls because it investigates life itself, and good and bad love interests come with the territory. At the end of the day, the women have not only themselves but each other. Despite its many timeless elements, there are parts of Gilmore Girls that haven't aged well and characters that never got their due, namely Lane, Keiko and Gina. The direction and editing are far from perfect and the show doesn't make many visually interesting choices. However, these are issues of time and circumstance rather than an irredeemable aspect of the series' legacy. Being critical of the parts of Gilmore Girls that warrant it doesn't make it any less beloved. Maintaining discussions about what it could have done better is what will keep it alive. Known for its pop culture references, Gilmore Girls is deeper than most give it credit for. Its snappy dialogue and tongue-in-cheek humor can't hide Gilmore Girls' sentimental nature. Writing off Gilmore Girls as a guilty pleasure or a show meant for easy watching would be a mistake. There's no question that Gilmore Girls has gained fame as a comfort show that aligns with the changing of the seasons, making for cozy viewing during the fall and winter months. However, there's an innate sense of tragedy and disappointment that follows the Gilmores through everything they do. Gilmore Girls is at its best when it's striking the perfect and ephemeral balance between this comedy and tragedy, something Sherman Palladino has consistently proven she understands intimately. It might be cliché to say, but they don't make TV like Gilmore Girls anymore. It has the self-awareness and referential spirit that's so common in film and television today. But the series understands when it's time to stop winking at the camera and take itself seriously, leaning into the drama and relationships that propel the narrative. Gilmore Girls isn't for everyone, but what show is? For those it resonates with, Gilmore Girls will never lose its sheen and the jokes will always land as effectively as if Lorelai and Rory were in the room with them.